Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap P.O.D., Mike M.
Pimpin' ain't easy, but it's fun like money. Got bookies on the run, now it's time to get money. Not your typical way to ball. It's last call like some convicts waiting on the next draw. You can feel the tension. Did I mention? Fools better pay attention, cause we getting paid like a pension. T's on the ones and twos, we not the ones that lose. Mike, money's killers, Mike even make the even news.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! Buzz Sports Radio, you know we be pumping!
What up? Welcome to Last Call over here on Pub Sports Radio. You know what we're doing here today. Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. We go through all them last looks, all the good information you need to get yourself winning tickets at the end of the night here. And I'm excited to be a part of it today. Woo! We got a day. Shout out observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day here. We got us a nice little early action this afternoon over there on the sesh with the boys, Dabby and Dutch. Man, we were firing. Sadly, the Pimp Slap play of the day did not cash, but damn near everything else did. Shout out to them Sixers giving us that trifecta. I was just talking with T. Shout out our boy T on them ones and twos. Getting it tight and right, getting everything looking nice, making sure the show flows like a well-oiled machine. We miss him when he's not there on Thursdays, but we were just talking about this Knicks game and just their ability to choke it when you think that they're in a good spot to get the cash. But it's been a lot of fun today. Certainly a lot of good cash out there. Got a nice parlay already. Things have been flying. I'm excited about what's going on with the card. We got them Bills playing right now. I'm going to try not to be distracted. I'm going to try to just put the blinders up. I can't turn it off. I don't know I can't turn it off, but I try my best not to get distracted here. Certainly 21-7. Them Bills up and running here early, looking good in that first quarter. Trying to close this first half out and get us more cash out there. Of course, got to drop that -10. Come on. They had 2.5 feet of snow out there. That ain't going to stop them boys from putting smack down on them Pittsburgh Steelers out there. A lot of fun going on. And, of course, the varsity team plays tonight. The big boys, them Philadelphia Eagles, going to take on them Tampa Bay Bucks. Can't wait. Jimmy the Bag and crew dropping it down for you guys with the live stream PSR 7:30. It's going to be a ton of fun. Can't wait for that game. Been waiting all weekend for that game. And, then they moved this Bills game to the 4:30 spot. It was like a little treat. It was like a little appetizer to the big game. So lots of fun going on in the world of sports today and all over Pub Sports Radio here. We've been banging it out all weekend long. The boys were doing live streams for college basketball. You guys know what was going on with the UFC. Big live stream there with the UFC. Yesterday, of course, some NFL games rocking and rolling. And here we go. New week, new money. And we came off a banger of a week. So excited to do the recap. But, it was so long ago being that it was Friday. So, short-lived excitement there, but it was certainly a nice week out there. And, we'll recap it. But before we get going, we want to let everybody get up in here. Lots of things going on. Everyone's getting out of work, driving home, making dinner, making cocktails, trying to figure out where they're going to bet tonight. And before we do that, you guys know the deal. We need you to do 3 things. Smash that like button. Get out there, hit it for us. Make sure you help us promote the brand and the cause. Pub Sports, 6 p.m. We're kicking ass and taking names. We need you guys to show the appreciation with them like buttons. Second, grab yourselves a pen and paper. Write down these plays. It's a lot of stuff flying at you here today. Not just here, but the chat. I say it every single show. The chat's just getting sharper and sharper and sharper. And we're getting winners all over the place. So you guys want to make sure that you write them plays down. And then last but not least, throw your plays out there in the chat. You guys know we want to recognize you. We want to share your best looks as well on the stream. That's what this is all about. We've had all day to let the data kind of manifest itself into these opportunities here. Now we can look at our trends, our angles, our alignment, and make those final calls that we know are going to be bangers to get us paid today. So shout out everybody that's up in here. 6 p.m., big games coming up here tonight. And I know everyone's excited, much like myself. So shout out everybody. Ian Shaver, the first guy in the chat tonight. What up, my guy, Ian? Hope you're doing well, my friend. He says, on an NCAA hardwood smash fest. Hope it carries over. It's going to carry over, Ian. You know how you roll. He says, Ducks over the Panthers. That busted a few parlays for sure. You know it did. Everybody was thinking them Panthers. No way the Ducks get that job done. And there they go. Our guy, Futon Pets, is in the chat out there. What up, Futon Pets? Says, under 239 in the Celtics game. Craig Wilkinson says, let's make some money. Let's go. And there's my homie Flea Mathis says, what up, pimp? Off work today, so I'm able to catch the show. Appreciate you dropping in with your free time, Flea Mathis. I know time is precious. You only get so much of the free time, and I appreciate you coming in and spending it with us out here, everybody up and down the chat, and, of course, the pub sports community. There's Dana Delp. What up? Gerald Jones says, was good pubbing, low bagging from MLK. Respect. Let's go, our guy. A lot of action right now. There is a lot of action. A lot of afternoon action, which is always a nice way to kind of spend the afternoon out there on a lazy, cold Monday. It seems to be cold all over the country. Certainly up here. I know them boys down in Texas are dealing with the chill as well. Probably not as cold as up here, but that's okay. I mean, they're a little softer down there, a little softer. It gets down below 50. They got to shut the city down. So that's okay. That's okay. We'll show them how to get it done. And there's Jacqueline. What up, Jacqueline? Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for coming in. Smoking Teresa, second half Bills, LOL. Hey, man, nothing funny about the beat down there, putting down them Steelers. I'm with you there. I like this spot. I think start to finish, top to bottom, front to back, straight ass kicking coming up here. And I'm excited to see it. These boys were ready to play, and they just got extra time to get more motivated to get the job done. So difficult spot when you're the Steelers having to come in. Now your travel schedule got delayed by 24 hours. Everything backs up out there. So good spot here. Like to see the start that we have already. And Gerald Jones says, best bet, Tampa Bay, Philly, under 44, our guy. Yeah, smash that like button. He's dropping it out there, telling everybody smash that. MFer, let's go. Jay Smooth says, money, MF, Mike, let's get paid. And there's my homie Keith says, what up, Mike? Crushed it last week. Got the over 36.5 in the Bills Steelers game, minus 106 with a boost. My guy, nice work. You got to capitalize when they put them boosts out there. They're begging you to get banged up. And that's what you're doing, my guy. So good on you. Let's go. We got to get a few more points for you to cash, and I'm rooting for you. And then my homie Justin says, just pulled up. Justin, always good to see you, my friend. We're going to make some cash tonight. Gerald Jones says, upstate New York, 40 minutes from Saratoga. Yeah, dude, it's cold. Saratoga's a lot of fun. I was just talking this weekend to some people about the Saratoga next year and kind of starting to put the plans together to get up there and spend a weekend out there. So a lot of fun. Love that spot. Love that time of town, that time of year with that town. Everything gets going out there. And Smoking Tree says, I got second half minus 3.5 for the Bills. Our guy dropping the love out there, sharing his plays in the chat. Appreciate that, Smoking Trees. Good to be seeing everybody up there here. Monday, we got to get going. It's a lazy Monday here with all this action that's been kicking. But we got more action to go. We've got a full spread tonight. We've got the NFL. We've got the NHL. Small card in the NHL, but we still got a banger out there. We've got college basketball. I got 2 looks for you guys on college hoops. Again, it's been all day. Lots of great plays out there, but still plays out there. They still left meat on the bone for us tonight, and we are going to feast on it. And then last but not least, the association. The NBA has been good to us all across the board today, and excited about the plays that we have out there. It's like when you think the card's the ugliest it could be, those are the ones that come out and get cash for us. So I'm excited about those spots as well. We're shaking. Again, I get excited about this stuff here. We do the shit for real. Gets me excited. I get shaking. I get popping, and everything starts wiggling. So let's go. Let's wiggle our way into these bookies' back pockets here and see if we can't pull that cash out. Again, we got to start it out. Talk about last week here. We'll talk about Friday. Great week all in all. And hey, hang in there for the end of the show. It's called new segment time here. I told you guys we wanted to get that plane in the air and start flying that thing around. We'll fix them wings while we're flying, and that's what we continue to do week in and week out. We've introduced tons of new segments. We've brought on tons of new guests. We got the MMA segments flying out there on Fridays now. That's a new opportunity out here for the last call. And today, I'm excited. We're going to bust it out. Everyone seems to be doing it. It seems like it's a lot of fun. Everybody's doing it. We might as well get in the game as well here. We're going to do ourselves a little rollover challenge. I don't know the frequency of which we'll do it here, but I'm excited to start one with everybody today. We'll start with $100 on it. We'll measure it at 100, single unit, and we'll see how far we can grow this thing for the week. I'd like to have it be a 5-day challenge, get to Friday. And I was kind of doing the math. I think that $100 could be worth maybe $1,000 or so by the time the week gets out. So we'll see what happens. We're going to have a little fun with that. And then we'll monitor the progress. Of course, you guys know that's how we do it here. So let's get into it, though. Let's start first and foremost. Big recap coming up here. Last week was a tremendous week. It was almost a 15-unit week with last call plays. And, we weren't just throwing out multi-unit bangers. Everything's a unit out there. So it was a great way to stack chips and continue to cash. And Friday was no less. We had a 6-4 day, not the best day that we had in the week, but we still ended up almost 2 units on the day. So positive week as well here, and looking to run it back. So let's start it up. We'll talk about this thing here. We had them Philadelphia Flyers on Friday. They came through with that cash for us. Nice little minus 105 spot. Interesting line they have up again tonight. Excited to get on that one. But Dallas -1. It was a 2-game hockey card, so we didn't have a lot of room to work with there. We took that Dallas -1. Look, they shit the bed. That's all they did. Dallas, tough spot for Dallas all weekend. They got cold. They took a beating in that Friday game. They took a beating yesterday in the NFL, but hey, that's Dallas. That's the way it rolls down there when you got them big city lights going on in the big spots. Then you look at this, you got nice little college basketball run there. We had USF -4.5. We cashed up there. We had Boise +6.5. We cashed up there. And we had Youngstown on the money line. We cashed up there. We had a nice little mini sweep in the NBA, or I'm sorry, in college basketball. And then as far as the NBA side of things, we took some shots. We had Detroit +9. It was ugly. Not a lot of people were fans of it. They came through and cashed for us. The Warriors +3.5. Everybody was looking at the other side of that thing. There's 3.5 points. That's a weird line. Not us. We took it. We cashed. We smashed on it. Then we got cute with a couple of spots that didn't come through for us, unfortunately. So, we ended up with that spot with Harden over 9.5 assists and the Clippers to win the game. That did not come through. It was a plus money spot. So, it's only lost us a unit in that spot. The Hornets +3, shit the bed entirely. They're probably going to end up on the shit list moving forward. And then Denver under 230.5. Last game of the spot for the NBA didn't get it done. So we have to clean it up in the NBA. We have to do better. But, again, all in all, decent week out there. And the best part about it, we're going to close the recap up and we're going to move forward because it's just that. So, yeah, smoking trees, I appreciate that, man. 6-4 is better than 4-6. Yeah, and look, you know what? You put a unit in here, a unit in there. It adds up over the course of the long haul. So that's what we're here to do and make that money. So let's go. Gagnon says beef. I'm not sure what that means, but Gerald Jones says chicken marsala pizza on the way. Well, that sounds pretty excellent, I got to say. That sounds like a pretty good way to get the night started out, my guy. Let's go. And, of course, Ian says he's talking to Justin. Marquette 3 times blessed. I had Marquette in that first half. Guys, we talked about this before, right? The first half spot for Marquette. We look at this thing. Number 1 team off a loss in college basketball over the last season and a half to cover that first half. The line was 3. They pushed to 3. But they did come back and they picked up that full game. So there was a nice little, I think it was a -6 or a -6.5. Either way, it cashed. So Marquette did fire back in that second half, pushed me on that first half, but I still cashed the full game. So it's all good. It's all fun. We're going to make that cash here. We're going to get rolling on this card. And again, excited about this one here. We're going to open it up. We're going to open right up to this Philadelphia-Tampa game. Again, I know Jimmy, the bag, and the boys will be sharing their looks for this game tonight. Jimmy's talking same game parlays. We got props from our guy, Spenny Pennybaum's going to lay it out there. That man has been firing. If you're not following him, what are you doing? $5 parlays 2 days in a row. Bangs out 1,500 on the, I think that was Saturday. Picks up another G yesterday. Just on some 2 and 3 legger, double, triple spots for our guy, Spenny. Nobody puts the bombs better than that guy out there. So make sure you give him a shout out when you see him tonight. Derek B says, what up, Mike? Do you have any touchdown props for the second half of the Bills game? You know what? Let me look real quick. You guys know touchdown props have been firing. We caught a little Tutu Atwell last night, a little plus 1,100. I was hoping he would get that full game or the first touchdown at plus 5,000, but he did not. So that's okay. That's okay. But, you look at these Bills. The big thing about these Bills, their situation with this spot, we talked about this in the start of the year. The big boys there, the Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid options out there, they wanted to be set up to run much like them New England Patriots were when they had Hernandez and Gronkowski. And here they go. So this is what we expected to see out of them boys. I know a lot of guys were on Deontay Johnson touchdowns. That came through as well. I'll tell you which one I think is a good opportunity here for the second half. There's 2 spots I would look to. I would look to Shakir as a wide receiver, deep threat out there. It doesn't seem like the wind has been all in all that much of a factor for him. They're still getting the bombs out there. Josh Allen, of course, banging up a 52-yard run as well. Doesn't hurt. But the play that I like the most that I'm going to get my cash on for the second half is going to be a Bills defensive touchdown. I think we're seeing some sloppy play. They're not carrying the football. There was even a near fumble that was called out of bounds, and it was a forward motion out of bounds that should have been a turnover to the Bills, and it did not happen. But they're playing well right now. They've got several turnovers in play. I think what's going to happen here as we move to the second half, they're going to have to start airing the ball out, which means there's that opportunity for the interception. If you're going to pick it up, you might as well run into the house. It's your house. It's your crib. Go out there and get that cash. So I would lean to that touchdown for the Buffalo defense out there. I think it's a good start. So Trisha says, oh my God, no NHL to start. I'm late to the party. Trisha, we saved the NHL for you. You're not gonna miss out on the opportunity to get them skates laced up and cash on the ice tonight. And that's exactly what we're gonna do with the play we have. So only 2 games left in the NHL by the time 7:00 rolls around. So you made it just in time. You're gonna be just fine out there with the NHL tonight. We're gonna get you a nice little banger to get that cash in your pocket. Nice little low vig spot out there as well. But yeah, I would lean to the Bills. Again, I wasn't planning to kind of get into the second half of this Bills game, but shit, since we're here, we might as well talk about it. I know our guy Smoking Trees likes that Bills second half -3. I think he said the number was that he got on that. And I'm going to lean to that defensive touchdown spot out there. I think it's a good opportunity to get that done. And I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to take that Shakir touchdown spot, because look, he kind of runs a dual threat option out there. He's clearly the deep guy. You want to make him happy and get him involved in the game to build his confidence as a young guy out there. Also has the option to be the wide receiver, run option. So maybe they do a little roll around there, a little wide receiver sweep, and he picks the ball up in the 7-yard line and runs it into the end zone. So wouldn't be mad at either of those plays, but again, it wasn't something I was planning to dig into. So let's talk a lot about this. Well, not a lot, but let's get into this Eagles-Bucks game here. We got a smaller card tonight to get through, but again, excited about the last segment there, the rollover challenge, something new we're going to try and see if we can't get some cash. Been trying to kind of work away at it the last couple of weeks here and just trying to kind of monitor some things on the side before we roll it out. And I think we're in a good position to roll it out tonight. So let's get into this thing, though. You can see on the screen, guys, you know the deal by now. Right side, you're going to see the plays that we're going to go through, where we're at in the segment itself. The top of the screen is going to show you exactly what's going on from the line perspective. You're going to see what plays or leans we have at the top. And then across the bottom, our guy T's got it teed up. Speaking of T out there, doing it with the money line, the cash flow splits. I'll give you the latest numbers because those numbers that go across the bottom are a couple hours old now. So as I read them off, you may see they're a little bit different, and that's okay. You can use that to kind of formulate your plan. As example, 54% of the bets, 53% of the cash on that Bucks line at 3. And, it's been ping ponging. We're down to 53% of the bets and 51% of the cash on the Bucks. So we've gone to, sitting again around 2.5s and 3s. Line shop that thing, because if you're not going to take them Eagles, you're going to want to certainly get the best number you can out there with them Bucks. And it has been ping ponging literally all day. It's been floating between that 2.5 and 3. An hour ago, it was sitting at +3. Here we're back to 2.5s again. So looks like the public is coming in on that Buccaneer side of things. The home dog Buccaneers. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? I'm not sure. But let's look at the total here. Let's talk about this line here. Opens up at 45. And I know some of the guys in the chat were talking about that under spot. 66% of the bets, 91% of the cash think this is going to be a lower scoring game. And I think that's for right cause here. It's kind of that primetime factor. We know the primetime unders have been smacking. And here we go with this thing here. You look at these two teams. The Bucks, they're on a 3 straight under run here. They had, of course, that last game of the regular season, 9-0 victory out there against Carolina. And ultimately, call it a homer or not, but if you watched what Tampa Bay did and Baker Mayfield in that spot with the Carolina Panthers, they needed that game to lock down them playoffs and get that opportunity. And they struggled to score against the Carolina team that was really just kind of rolled over and done for the rest of the season. So I'm not sure how that motivation or that momentum is going to carry over. And of course, before that, they play the Saints, 23-13 loss to the Saints, the December 31st, the New Year's Eve game out there. So I would not grade their last 2 games of the regular season from a high by far. And of course, my Eagles, they've been struggling is probably the best way to say it at best at this point. They took a 33-13 loss to Dallas. Of course, we saw Dallas get the brakes beat off them yesterday. They lost to Seattle on the road. Those are both road games, 20-17 in that Seattle spot. Then the Giants, they beat the Giants at home. They lost to Arizona at home, which was really impressive to see how bad that game was, 35-31. They scored. They just couldn't stop anybody. Then on the last game of the season, of course, the New York Giants, they lose in that rematch spot for the New York Giants 2 times in 3 games. Tough spot for them. I'll dismiss it and discount it. But I looked at this game ultimately. Look, I'll present both sides of the argument for you guys. Clearly, my feeling about these Eagles, what they've got going on. I got it. A.J. Brown, not good that guy's out of there. It's too bad because he stepped up. He was trying to show true leadership last week when he gave his pre-game press conference there. Not pre-game, but in the middle of the week there. He talked about they got to take accountability and responsibility for their play and lack thereof. And then he goes out there and he gets hurt. So very not happy to see that. Devonta Smith, obviously a big factor out there as well. And then last but not least, when you got a wild card team that's on a streak of one game, exactly one game, so that is this Bucs side of things, and they're playing a team that's on a spread losing streak. They are 22-1. So just to be fair, just to share, you can't say, hey, he didn't say anything about Tampa Bay. No, that trend absolutely favors Tampa Bay. But I went to this game and I looked at this first half. I wanted to kind of dissect it and think, where have the Eagles been struggling the most? It's been that first half. We know that one of the worst teams to cover the first half all season. They started to turn it around in the second half of the season. So they have been catching a little momentum. And I think if they're going to have any prayer to win this game, they're going to have to start this thing off a lot faster than they've been doing. And I think that comes to a run game as well. I think they've got to be run dominant. You got to force Baker Mayfield out of his comfort zone. And here we go. We got a minus 130 now out there on DK for the first half. So not going to not cover this game in this spot here. I've got my cash on that first half spot. And I think that when you look at these two teams and the way that they finish the season, clearly the challenge is the Eagles want to get out there, kind of go bang real fast, bang, bang, touchdown, get this thing going, and then try to plug some of those holes on defense. Obviously, Mike Evans is going to be a challenge. Not so concerned about Godwin. Godwin's like almost looking over him at this point with what's been going on. Obviously White from a running game perspective, a big factor out there, but I like them to get DeAndre Swift moving early in this thing, maybe a couple short passes to Goddard. He really hasn't been effective and productive coming back from that arm injury that he suffered against them dirty Dallas Cowboys, that dirty play that they went out there to try to intentionally break his arm. But I think they can find a way to put the brakes on Mike Evans out there and hold this first half down. So I'm going to take them Eagles in the first half. That's going to be the first official play on the card tonight. And again, minus 130 is the current number that's out there. I've got some props that I like in this game as well. I think the guy that's going to have to get involved in this game is going to be Julio Jones. They clearly have to replace it. And if you look back, I'll talk more about this when we get on with Jimmy and the boys, but I think the reality behind this thing is you're going to need to air it out. You're going to need Julio Jones. And Julio Jones has had some production in the last 4 weeks of this season. I think he can fill in, not entirely for what A.J. Brown brings to the team, but I think he's going to be more than serviceable, a guy to get out there and back it up. So I like myself some spots there with Julio Jones, the over receptions, the touchdown spot. I like his yardage. His yardage is at 19.5. The guy only has to get that's one play to catch out there and get that thing done. But again, first official play on the card. I got to break it down a little bit more with this Bills game that's been going on. I haven't had much opportunity to dig under the covers here. And then Tarek B says that's a good look for the Eagles. I'm looking at Hurts touchdown. The other play that we've been cashing on, I'm sure it'll make my card as well, as a touchdown from Hurts and the Eagles on the money line. That should be a nice plus money spot for us as well. Right now, the Hurts touchdown scoring prop is the priciest one on the card at minus 115. So I think if you bundle that around with the money line, you're going to find some nice cash on that as well. But haven't gotten there just yet. So for me, the first official play I've got the Eagles first half money line minus 130. They're going to have to start this game off to get it rolling. I do think they're in a good spot to get the game, to get the win. I know a lot of guys see the other side of it there, and the numbers don't necessarily correlate when you start talking about what Tampa Bay can do, what the spread numbers look like. But hey, whatever. Call me a homer. That's fine. What up, Dutch Boy Fresh? Good to see you, my guy. Says, what it be like then? Dutch, you know what it be like, my guy. We've been banging here. We're banging this day away here, putting it all over them bookies, breaking bread and smashing them bookies over the motherfucking head, my guy. You know what we do out here. Let's go. A lot of fun today with them boys over there on the sesh. We were having a lot of fun. It was back and forth. It was a good show today. So shout out to my guy Dutch. Appreciate him dropping in here. Let's move on. Game number 2 we're going to talk about here. This is for our girl Trisha M. She was out. She said she was concerned that she missed it. She didn't miss it. We're going to jump into it for her out there. Thanks, dude. Yeah, that Sixers trifecta spot. They smacked them boys up. I thought at the fourth quarter it got a little sweaty for that full game, but hey, they came through for us. We talked about it. And, we've got the 3-leg parlay that I put out there today from the show. The Philly trifecta spot. We got the Philly 76ers. We got the Philly Flyers. You'll see them here on the screen. We'll talk about them in a second. And then last but not least, the Eagles money line. I talked about that on your show, Dutch. That thing ended up having a nice little plus money. I want to say it was like plus 145 spot out there. So we'll see what that does for us. But official play for me in the hockey game tonight. Look, again, slim pickings. Avalanche, Canadians. It's a pricey spot for the Avalanche. I mean, would I take the money line? No, not at minus 200. Do I want to get involved with the puck line? No, I don't want to see that either, because the Canadians are just one of those teams that doesn't go away. So I ultimately stayed off that game. But the spot that I did jump in on, the Philadelphia Flyers, I see that there's a minus 102 out there now. So you're going to want to make sure you line shop. Minus 102 on FanDuel, 103s on Bet Rivers, 105s, and even 110s out there now. So we're seeing it move. And the big thing about this game, I think there's two things going on in my opinion. First of all, I said this last week when we took the Flyers on Friday. Them boys can find a way to turn anything into a chip on their shoulder. And they've done just that. We talked about the cowardice that is Cutter Gauthier, young buck. He's probably going to have a decent NHL career, but what a scrub. He gets drafted by the team. They said, "Are you sure you want to come play for us?" "Oh, of course, blah, blah, blah." And then he just won't return phone calls. He's just ghosting everybody. You're a fucking professional hockey player, and you're ghosting guys that you gave a commitment to. Nonetheless, Drysdale comes back in return, and he has been a productive defenseman at 21 years old. I believe he was the number 6 overall draft pick in the 21 draft. So we're getting the most out of that guy here, and that chip on that shoulder has been really, I think, a good opportunity for these guys here in the last. They had a little loss there. They caught a little hiccup against the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-1. Since then, they beat Montreal 3-2. That was a nice little flyer spot for us out there. They took down Minnesota on the road in Minnesota. They took down Winnipeg as well. That was a big spot out there. They were a plus 168 spot. They shut Winnipeg right down. Probably the best team in the West right now that they shut them boys down. They are using that motivation and catching every ounce of it that they can. Right now, we got Carter Hart going in goal. They've been bringing Carter Hart slowly back between his sickness and his injury. It's only going to be his second start in the last 4 games, but he's 11-8-3 on the season, and he's rocking a 91.1% save percentage. On the other side of things with St. Louis, here's the difference. Here's where I think the vulnerability is. You got Hofer out there at 7-7 with a 90.8% save percentage, but he's 1-1 in his last 3 games out there with St. Louis. He did catch a nice win, a nice 4-3 win over the Minnesota Wild, but that was really the bright spot for him. When you look at it, the 7 goals this guy's let up on 59 shots in his last 2 games. 59 shots, let's call that an average of 30. They're not stepping in front of him. They're not taking those shots for him. They're just kind of rolled over and giving up. They're trying to score goals, but they're just not finding a way to get the back of the net. They did score 3 goals against Boston. That was a big spot for him, but I think there's a lot of asterisk on what Hofer's capability looks like right now. He's 88.1% over his last 2 games, clearly on a low spot from where he's been from his season high, 0-2 in his last 2 games. I think it's worth a shot here with Philadelphia. It's a minus 102 spot. It's low juice opportunity. And again, it's already tied to my parlay, but I think the fact that they got Carter Hart going in net now, their number 1 guy, or was their number 1 guy, Harrison, the backup, came out there and has been running like crazy. He's been playing a real strong game, but I like the spot. I think it's a good opportunity to exploit them. And of course, they're not going to want to be the ones to let the city of Philadelphia down. The Sixers came out and banged earlier today. The Eagles are going to bang here as well. And the Flyers are going to be that tripod there, the third leg of the stool, if you will, that we can all sit down and count our cash off of with them Philadelphia Flyers tonight. So give it to me. I'm all over that Flyer spot tonight. I love the number. I love the low juice on it as well. Smoke and Tree says Gainwell over 2.5 receptions is a bag. Let's go. I like that. Little Kenneth Gainwell action out there. He says he's taking the over 43 for our guy Smoking Trees. Appreciate you sharing it, homie. Thanks for dropping in as well. Keith says he likes the Cole Caulfield anytime goal at plus 170. Not a bad look either. Can't be mad at that. Love the plus money spots out there, especially in a game where I expect there to be some scoring in that Avs game. So, Montreal should be able to, like I said, hang into that game and make it relevant. So, or competitive anyways, to say the least. So there you go. First official play on the NHL card tonight. We're going to take them Philadelphia Flyers. We're going to lace them skates up and try to get that cash with them boys. So, too deep here. We got the Eagles first half money line. We got the Flyers full game money line. We'll get them Philadelphia spots out of the way, and let's dig into the rest of this card here. We're going to move over. We're going to talk about this college board here. We got a couple of college spots for you guys tonight. A couple of games that might not make this your slate, and hopefully that's the case that you can give it another look here, because we have Texas A&M going out there against Southeast Louisiana. Line opens up at -2. It has dropped a 0.5 point. So, everybody likes this road dog, which I think is a difficult spot. You'll hear some numbers that speak to the home favorites in these things. 62% of the bets and 58% of the cash, clearly the majority of the tickets, albeit only a 2,500 sample on Texas A&M CC, but only a 0.5 point line movement. So that should certainly be a red flag. This line opens up at 135, now sitting at 136.5 with 58% of the bets and 90% of the cash on the over. It's moving to the over. It's an interesting spot to see there, but ultimately, I started looking at these teams, and this is truly that kind of dogfight here. You got a 9-7 Texas team, you got a 6-10 Southeast Louisiana team, and the fact that Southeast Louisiana's opening up after back-to-back losses on the road as a favorite should be your immediate indicator that there's something going on with this Texas A&M team. Then you look back at this Texas A&M team, they're 3-2 in their last 5. They did just come off an 83-80 loss, an outright loss as a 4.5-point favorite to New Orleans. On the other side of things, this is the first home game back for Southeast Louisiana. Be it, though, there's been a couple of days of rest in there. So they had their New Orleans game. You want to look at the common opponent factor. They beat up on New Orleans 73-68 as a 2-point dog. So as a dog, they came out and beat New Orleans. As a favorite, A&M comes out and loses to New Orleans. That should certainly be another little red indicator out there, another little red flag for this game. And then last but not least, I was looking at this thing here. You got some situations. When you play a team like New Orleans, 52-170 after a team and a game in that spot. There's about 9 teams that kind of fit that criteria. New Orleans was one of them. Now, I did talk about Southeast Louisiana just playing New Orleans. What happened the next game? They lost. They lost to Nicholls State out there. Here we go. I think this is going to be that fit for New Orleans. Home favorites that are lined up to -5 do have a slight winning edge as well at 210 and 190. So I just went to the money line in this spot here. I think it's a good opportunity. I don't want to mess with that 1.5. I know that's probably famous last words, but at -120, that's about what I think the price is for that 1.5. And I think if it is a greasy little 1-point win, I want that Southeast Louisiana spot on the money line in my back pocket to get that cash. And again, 6-10 opening up as a home favorite off of back-to-back losses. That in itself doesn't smell right. If you're thinking about taking this better team on the road with the points, I think you better think again. It's certainly shown in this conference. After teams like New Orleans, the home favorites find a way to get the job done. So that's going to be the first college basketball play on the card. We'll rifle it off. Let's talk about this next game that we're going to talk about. And speak of the Devils, here we go. We got this New Orleans team that we're looking at, and I'm not going to go to the New Orleans side, though. I'm going to take a little different look on this thing. This line opened up at 5.5. We're seeing a lot of steam coming in on this New Orleans side. 22% of the bets, but 78% of the cash. The line's down to 4. Amazing enough to see that New Orleans spot. There's that road dog, but the public loves that Nicholls State team at 78% of the bets. So the bigger money coming in on New Orleans. Despite the public being all over that home favorite, the line is screwing on its way over to that New Orleans side of things. I looked at the total in this game. 64% of the bets, 93% of the cash on the over, 150.5. Not budging. In fact, it's starting to show some 149.5s out there. So the second play that I had to jump in on and looking at this thing was I had to say, you know what? I think, first of all, 2 things we need to look at. After you play New Orleans, we know teams lose. Let's take a look for Nicholls State to lose their next game in this spot. But, we got Nicholls State that plays an over kind of zigzag philosophy. They're 3-2 to the under in their last 5 games. And on the other side of things, New Orleans has been a lower, slower paced team. They've been catching numbers around 155, which is right in the wheelhouse of this game today. When those numbers have gone down, they go over. Southeast Louisiana, they had a 139.5. They got over. 145.5 against that Texas A&M CC spot. It goes over. We look at this Texas A&M CC Alabama on the back-to-back spot there. 150.5. That goes over as well. But when we look back at the Ohio State spot, they got 155. That game goes under. We see San Francisco 152.5. The game goes under. I think this is right at that pivot point to take an opportunity in this spot. Home favorites in this conference that are off a loss are 87-128 to the under. 150.5 is the best number that I can get out there right now. I had to jump in on that. We got 2 7-9 teams for record keeping purposes or for, overall accountability. January 20th, we've got a spot where Nicholls State will be playing A&M CC on the road. Just a great opportunity, I think, to fade those boys as well. But for tonight in this game, I'm rocking the under. Again, we've got 4 of the last 6 games have gone under for this New Orleans team. I think it's a good opportunity for us to cash on this under. Home favorites in this conference off that loss. That's that red flag. And if you think about it and you break those numbers down and what that means, your home favorite, you don't have to worry about your defense traveling. And in fact, what's happening on the other side of things is their offense isn't as productive. They're running into the buzzsaw that is that defense. So certainly a spot that I think is worth noting there. We're going to take that under as our second official play. And then I want to jump into the association with you guys here. we got this card pretty excited about the association, the plays that we have out there in the NBA. So we're going to keep it short and tight today. What's the under in the game? 150.5 down play, 150.5 on that. There's 149.5s out there now too. So make sure you line shop because there still are hanging 150.5s at -110. That game starts just a little. What was the start on that one? Is that the 8 p.m. start? So we're going to see that thing fall a little bit more, I think, as we get closer to game time. You're going to want to jump in now and cash and with me on that spot. So look, a couple of games in the NBA. I got a three-pack card for you guys. Then we're going to get back and watch this football game and get ready for the 7:30 show with Jimmy the Bag and the boys. And I'm excited. Like I said, there's 3 plays here. Then we're going to go in and we're going to pop open the rollover challenge, the first play of the card for the rollover challenge. We'll figure it out. We'll see the frequency in which we do it, but wanted to have a little fun and do something a little different. We've been cashing today. We've been stacking up. And again, I think it's a good opportunity to get it done. So let's look at this Cavs and Bulls game. Line opens at 6.5. Now we're seeing 3.5s out there, where I think is the bottom of this number. 42% of the bets and 58% of the cash jumped all over those Bulls at 6.5. They pushed that number down 3 full points. You look at the total, it opens at 219, 77% of the bets, 77% of the cash on the over. That thing shot up 4 points. So interesting enough that they do kind of suspect, based on some of that line movement, we're probably going to see some points in this game. And I think the big factor here that is probably time to move on from are these injury factors. Garland, when was the last time Garland played anyways? I don't think it really makes a difference. I think the team's kind of closed ranks and moved around him. Mobley, he's listed out tonight as well. And then Ty Jerome, a couple of guys that aren't going to be on the court for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they've been banged up all season. This number's moved so much so now that I think they were right to be open as a favorite. I think that sweet spot's going to probably be a 5-6 point win in the spot. We know on the other side of things, the big factor for the Bulls, I think, is Patrick Williams. That's going to be a 3-point scoring threat that's out of the lineup. Obviously, Lonzo Ball's still out of there as well. And then last but not least, the Cavaliers. When they're facing a team, Cavaliers specific, you guys know I look at 3 different types of trends. I look at the team trends, the league-wide trends, and player factor trends in there. The Cavaliers 17-0-2 against the spread, covering the spread by almost 9 points. When they're facing a team they beat against the spread by more than 18 points the previous time out. That very much fits this model against Chicago Bulls. Yeah, they clubbed them down real good out there. And again, the injury factor. You know what? The Chicago Bulls were literally a week away from shutting down the entire season. It wasn't until they gave Levine the opportunity to go out there and pursue a trade that they started to figure things out, and they put him on the bench. Now that he's back out there, the chemistry's all screwed up again. I think it's a great opportunity for the Cleveland Cavaliers here. And, I get it. I understand the situation when you look back at the Bulls. They're certainly winning. They're not struggling, but who are they beating? They beat the Spurs. They lost to Golden State. That was the spot that we had Golden State. We did pick that right opportunity to expose the Bulls. They beat Houston. They beat Charlotte twice. I'm not enamored. I'm not impressed with what I'm seeing out of there. Cavaliers on the other side, 4 straight wins. Back-to-back games against Washington. We know the perception is it's hard to beat a team 2 times in a row. That's not true in the NBA. But they still came out there the second. They put up 140-101 the first time, 114-90 the second time. They take down the Spurs. Didn't cover the spread. It was a lofty spread against the Spurs. And then they came out there and they beat up Brooklyn. So I'm going to jump in on this Cavs. First opportunity for me. Again, I talked to you guys about the 17-0-2. Also, we got a situation with the total on this game. When you've got a home favorite and the total falls between 222 and 231, those teams are 29-8 against the spread if they're coming off an under. So a couple of, I think, complimentary points that speak to why we want to take the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. I don't care about them injuries. Let's go. Let's move on. Let's talk about this next game. What's Chozo one say? I'm on the Eagles under 44.5. Might get there in the first half too. All right, my guy. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Down plays. Okay, I already gave him the under in that game. And Smoking Tree likes Baker over 239.5 passing yards. I think that's a sneaky little look there, Smoking Tree. I think, clearly the secondary with the Eagles, we know what they've been doing and what they haven't been doing. Darius Slay's coming back. Big play Slay will be back on the field tonight, coming off that knee scope that he had out there. They had to go in there and clean up a little bit of the tendonitis in that guy's knee, and he's ready to roll again tonight. So he's feeling good. He's looking good out there, and it's going to be an interesting battle for sure. So I do expect if they're going to run that ball, they're going to build some points up. Baker's going to have to air that thing out, and he probably catches Evans for a big one. But I think he's going to have to grind his way through this thing to try to be competitive. So like that look, our guy, thanks for sharing it out there. Let's talk about game number 2. We're looking at the Celtics and Raptors tonight. This line opens up at 4.5. It shot up to 7 points plus 7, 51% of the bets and 50% of the cash on the Celtics. We're now seeing buyback in this Toronto spot. So this is one of those quirky little lines. I talked about this before. The back number opens up at 237.5. We're up to 242 now. So we're seeing some bigger numbers coming out there. 49% of the bets and 68% of the cash on points in this game. And wouldn't surprise me. If there's going to be points, I think it's because Toronto comes to play. You know, you look at this thing, you know, push comes to shove. We've talked about this Toronto team before and kind of where they should be lined and where they shouldn't be lined. 7's that number that I want to jump in and take advantage of them. If it was any higher, if we were at 10 or 11, I would say that they're clearly pointing in that direction, that it's going to be a factor. But I think we had it in the chat, right? Brown's out of this game. So we've got no Brown. I think it's a good opportunity for us. Jaylen Brown listed out with the knee for tonight. You know, on the other side of things, yeah, not the greatest of injury reports. Gary Trent Jr. being out with an illness right now. Podol out there, out as well with an ankle injury, and then Porter Jr. with a knee injury. But I don't know. This number doesn't look right to me. Furthermore, I got the 6.5, and I parlayed it. You guys know where I parlayed it with. We talked about the Scotty Barnes spot. Since they've moved him around in the lineup, his rebound numbers have gone down exponentially. This number, it was 8.5 when we were taking it when they first made the lineup adjustments. Then it went to 7.5. We still took it at 7.5. Now they're down to 6.5. He's only covered that rebound number one time this month. His rebounding stats for the month, he's got 6, 2, 4, 2, 3. There's the 7 and then a 3. It's going to be a difficult spot against the Celtics. I just think it's a spot where maybe he even has a little bit of a minutes restriction out there where they want to try to save him. Kind of forecasting and speculating how I think the pace of the game goes. But that's a plus 258 spot. I'm going to take a big whack at this thing. Plus 6.5. Give me the Scotty Barnes spot under 6.5 rebounds. Plus 258. That's how we're going to get paid on that game. And let's talk about the last game before we get to the big spot there. Joseph Thompson. There's our guy, Joseph Thompson. Hey, Mike. Moneyline, just getting in, my guy. No worries, Joseph Thompson. Always good to see you. And, of course, sharing his best bet out there. He likes the Columbia Yale over 144. I'm going to write that down because I was looking to try to get a little more action in college hoops. And, you know, we were just talking last Friday about these Ivy League teams and the score fest that is. So, Smoke Teresa's Philly-Tampa game. You see, yeah, I figured that's what you meant. I figured I was with you on that one there with the over on that side of things. And interesting spot, you know. I hate to say it, I could see it going either way, but I'm clearly hoping that my boys get the job done more than not. But last but not least, before the final play, our rollover challenge that we start today, we're looking at this Pacers and Jazz game. I see a lot of guys I know, a lot of sharp guys in the business love this Jazz spot. I just haven't officially pulled the trigger. I got a little concerned. You know, I get the Halliburton factor and that he's not in this game. But you guys know that how I feel about these injuries, and I think it's cooked into this number. So if the reason to play the Jazz exclusively is because Halliburton's not out and they're past that first game that he's not playing, I think you got to think again about this spot because the number is appropriate. But the line opened at -1. It's shot up to 7.5 now. There's still some 7s out there. 67% of the bets, but only 33% of the cash, like the Jazz. Bigger cash coming in on this Pacer side of things at 7.5. So kind of a big red flag for me. You know, we know what the Jazz do at home. We know they're a pretty competent, more than competent and capable team. The back number opens at 249, down to 246 is out there. 48% of the bets, 57% of the cash on that over, and that number's dropping. So, yeah, is it because of Halliburton not coming out there putting up a 50 spot? Maybe that could very well be, but it looks like everybody else is rolling. And, you know, we got Markkanen, we got Clarkson, we got Turner, all guys that should be in for this game. You know, looking back at what the Jazz have done, they're on a nice little win streak right now. They've also on their 4th home game in a row. They've put up 4 W's in a row. They've covered the spread at a monster clip right now. Oh no, I looked over and I see somebody's down in that Bills game. Not what I wanted to see. On the other side of things though, with the Pacers, they lost to Boston. They came back and beat Boston. They beat Washington. They beat Atlanta. And there's the Halliburton factor. Then they take a big L against Denver on the road. So they are still running a little gauntlet out there on the West Coast, if you will, coming into a Jazz spot. I just have a sneaky suspicion that I'm seeing it move now to 7 and 7.5. So I guess I'm feeling a little better about it, but no official play for me on that spot. Just going to be a lean for the game. So guys, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button for us. Excited to share with you guys what we've got coming up here. Last but not least, I will share this too with you guys. Pacers 0-10 against the spread. They're getting bludgeoned by almost 12 points on the spread when they're on the road versus the West, and they've got less than 2 days rest if the line's shorter than a 10 spot. So this definitely fits that criteria of the 0-4 in the Pacer spot. I just don't know if it's that easy in this case here. But again, we're seeing the line now starting to move in that direction. There's a decent sized sample on this ticket count now as well. We're up to 35,000 tickets from earlier today. So now we're starting to see the cash coming in appropriately. But again, that sharper numbers taking that 7.5, thinking this is just going to be too many points and overvaluation on the Halliburton injury factor. So Smoking Tree says he's on the Eagles first half team total over 10.5 for our guy. And Bills are losing players in the second half due to injury. Boy, I don't like hearing that. So I'm going to have to make sure that we keep an eye on that spot out there. Let's talk about this last game, guys. So here's the deal that we're going to do. It's new concept here for the show. Do it if you want. You certainly don't have to. I'm not going to tell anybody what they have to do. It's your money. You got to make the decision. I'm going to do it. I'm going to ride this rollover challenge here. And now because of this fluctuation, I'll share with you exactly where we're at. +2 is where this line opened. We're seeing +1.5s out there now. 57% of the bets, 63% of the cash on the Nets. The line opens up at 216.5. Now 221.5's out there. 50% of the bets, 80% of the cash on the over, expecting there to be points. The money line's the spot that's kind of concern. They opened up as a dog, the Brooklyn Nets. Now they're sitting at -104. So for our challenge purposes today, I see +1s, -1.5s. I want to try to get the most ROI for the bet to keep this thing rolling. So FanDuel's got a -104, DraftKings got a -105, and BetRivers has -106s. We're going to rock with this -104 spot on the Nets money line. We're going to run it through the week. So we'll go as far as we can here Monday through Friday. Like I said, at rough calculation, I expect the opportunity to be, around $1,000 if we can get this thing through the week. So we'll start with $100 on this thing tonight. The Nets are one of those teams. This is where I felt like this line is just a weird spot right now. Why is this line kind of the number that it's at? And then if you go down and you look further at kind of the injury report, in this case, I think the number makes sense because of the injury factor. So it's not a suspect line from that degree or from that regard, but we know Kevin Love's out. We know Drew Smith's out. And, is it Jimmy Jimenez? He's out of this thing as well. So a triple spot that I think doesn't boast well for what's going on right now with the Miami Heat. The other side of things, Ben Simmons for the Nets. Ben Simmons is a bitch, man. I don't know. Day'Ron Sharpe. I don't like Day'Ron Sharpe being out of there. They need that center to be in there rolling. But hey, at the end of the day with this thing, good opportunity. When you're the home team, you've got multiple days of rest. We know that teams have a tough time when they come into Brooklyn. One of the best cover teams against the spread at home somehow is the Brooklyn Nets. But here we go. Home teams, multiple day rest advantage, 22-3 against the spread. +7.5 points margin on that thing when they're playing a team that has no rest. If it's between the 8s, -8 and +8. So when they're marking them down in that spot where that's kind of the indication for me is those 8s saying, okay, 22-3 against the spread when they've got those multiple days rest. On the other side of things with the Heat and what they've got going on, their next game's on the road against Toronto. So they got to pack things up. They got to fly internationally tonight after the game. Difficult spot for them to be in. I know they're 3-1 in their last 4. But again, who have they played? Houston, they took a win. Okay, I got it. OKC, they lost that game. Okay, then they play Orlando and Charlotte. This is the first game on the road after a little 4-game homestand as well. I think it's a great opportunity for us to get this thing going. So we're going to start there with the Nets money line tonight. Again, I got this number at -104 now. So the money line, -104 opportunity. We'll put $100 on it. The $100 should return us probably about 96. I'll check it out and be official with you guys for sure. But we're just going to go with the straight $100 bet. We'll see where this thing goes and how far we can run it back here for the week. So should be fun. We'll try it out. We'll see how it goes for us. I'm excited about it because I do feel we're going to have a good opportunity this week. I looked at the schedule ahead. I thought this was the right week to introduce it based on what we've got. We've got a hefty schedule because of the wild card playoffs here for the NFL. A lot of things got compressed to the middle of this week for college basketball, for the NHL, and even some NBA. So we got a lot of opportunities to get that cash tonight and this week, and I think it's going to be a good spot for us to go. So appreciate everybody rocking with us tonight here. 6:50. We still got you guys in and out of this thing before 7. I'll go run down one last time. We'll give everybody a shout out. Then we'll put a bow on the show and rock on forward here. We got the Philadelphia Eagles first half -130. I know our guy Smoking Tree shared a boatload of plays for this Eagles game. Love it. Love every one of those spots that he's talking about out there. Philly money line for the Philadelphia Flyers. We got Southeast Louisiana college hoops. New Orleans under 150.5 college hoops. We got Cleveland -3.5. The parlay, Toronto +6.5 and Barnes under 6.5 rebounds at +258. I know it's at 7s and 7.5s now, but this was the highest return with the 6.5. So jumped in there. The Nets money line is going to be our rollover challenge. And of course, I lean to Utah -6.5. Appreciate everybody dropping in. Ian, Smoking Trees, Justin McKelvey. Burner says permanent marker. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm curious. You got me intrigued. Kind of a vague little note there, but I'm all for it, right? So let's go. Flea Mathis, good to see you, my guy. Says he's with me on the Eagles first half. Do you like the first half team total over 10.5? I got to give it some more thought. My team totals have been just not the best when it comes to football. So I'm trying to kind of be a little more conservative about it. I'm still going to attack. It's just got to figure out exactly how I want to attack. Joseph Thompson, appreciate you, my guy. There's Deshaun G in the chat. Chosen One, Don Play, Blue Numbers, Tarek B, Keith out there rocking with us. Dutch Boy Fresh, of course, dropping in, giving us the shout out there. The Futon Bets, Ian Shaber, Gagnon, Trisha M. Everybody's ready to rock tonight, you guys. 7:30. Our boy Jimmy the Bag is going to be getting it down, breaking this NFL card down with his looks here for the game tonight. Going to have a great panel lined up. Looking forward to it. And looking forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow. We'll recap the day and we'll go fire away again. Hope everybody has a great night tonight. Cashing them bets. Of course, our guy Joseph Thompson says Columbia Yale starts in 8 minutes. We know his best play on that over. And I'll see everybody later tonight as we root on the Philadelphia Eagles. Guys, stay tight, stay right, stay pumping, baby. Let's go. Let's get that cash.